it up somehow.
Yes, my straight talk family. It's raining cats and dogs on the outside. So I hope you are on the inside and you got your bag of nuts or your sweets, your crackers, whatever you need to munch on, because it's time for me to say a very pleasant night to the world, wherever you are in the world, and in particular here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's raining cats and dogs, like I said, so there's no reason for you to be on the outside. Just lay down, turn your smart TV on, turn your smartphone on, and just say you are ready, like Freddie, to absorb this program tonight, which I have titled St. Kitts-Nevis CBI, the Citizenship by Investment, the good, the bad, and the convicted. And I must say good night once again to St. Kitts and Nevis, good night to the entire Caribbean region, and good night to the world, or I can say good morning as well to the world, and or good afternoon, because some of you are somewhere in the diaspora, whether in Asia, in Europe, in Africa, or perhaps you are over there somewhere in North America. So I can say good night, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And my Straight Talk family, I want to thank those of you from the Straight Talk family who continue to share the link. And when you do share the link, we get first timers. And I welcome all the first timers tonight, because tonight I want to also inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's in the process strive to get St. Kitts-Nevis back to what I call that enviable position of being number one or being one of the freest countries in the entire universe. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I thank Almighty God, must do each time, for blessing me with another opportunity to join you in conversation, my Straight Talk family, on yet another occasion. And as your host, I am duty bound to pledge that I will remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness, as I am always reminded of the words of this lovely hymn, written by Thomas Jackson and Franz Joseph Haydn. And an excerpt goes like this. I always like to interject this. We are called to be God's prophets, speaking for the truth and right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing evil things to light. So let us seek the courage needed, our high calling to fulfill, that we all may know the blessing of doing, or of the doing, I should say, of God's will. So my Straight Talk family, if we're going to talk about the truth on Straight Talk, believe me, nothing, absolutely nothing is watered down on this program, because we don't need to make it more interesting, neither by omission or by exaggeration. We bring in the facts. Straight Talk is not about sensationalism or creating excitement at the expense of accuracy. We always lean on the facts, and sometimes the facts and the truth comes across as being harsh. But we lean on those facts, as I consider it my duty to always present the plain truth. I call it the unvarnished truth, especially when it comes to governance in our country, St. Kitts and Nevis. And through this program, we are joined together with people across our federation and in the diaspora all around the world. Some we know very well, and some we have met. I met a good lady from Toronto today who listens, she told me, on a regular basis. I did not even have time to have a longer discourse, but she'll be here for 2 weeks, I'm told. So I trust and hope, good lady, we'll meet sometime before you leave, so we can catch up on those good old days. And others we do not know, and many we will never meet. Some of us will agree with the positions of truth that are advanced on Straight Talk, and some will obviously disagree, because we are a different people. And that's fine, because we promote diversity as well. But please, what will sadden me, my Straight Talk family, I always remind you, is if we start to become disagreeable. And some of us have already seem to have the propensity or the tendency or the urge, rather, I should say, to go down that road. But let us thank Almighty God nonetheless for helping us to understand how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Just hope and pray for the day when we all, every single one of us, will sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks once more for those who share the link as you bring first-timers. So please continue to do so. And for the first-timers in particular, and all of us, I must also inform you and in some cases remind you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls and your emails. If you're so minded calling, the numbers are posted on your screen and they are 646-829-6672. That's your overseas contact. And or 663-6672. If you can access that number even from overseas, but you'll have obviously to use the area code 869. And I want to plead to my callers in anticipation of your calls. I look forward to your calls, but let us think about the other callers, because so many people meet me and tell me it's so difficult to get into the program, and some don't want, and I rightly so, to be on hold for 5 and 6 minutes. So let's aim to make our contributions, our intervention in 2 minutes. You can say quite a lot in 2 minutes, I'm sure. So let's try to do that this evening in anticipation of your calls. And for those who like what they call the cloak of anonymity, we give you access via our email platform, which is Straight Talk Patches. That's one word, STRAIGHTTALKPATCHES@gmail.com. I also want to implore you, not because you are hiding behind the keyboard. Please, you need to respect others. And please do not fabricate, and be careful. Some of the things some people want to write, in my view, borders on being libelous. And I am very cautious with that, especially when you have the Lucifer out there who is just waiting for us. But special welcome as well, my Straight Talk family, to my junior brigade. Young Dwayne, Tristan, I hope you reminded your mom that tonight is Thursday night. Shamar, over there in Frigate Bay. Kevin Hanley in Nevis. Young Rucosta in South Carolina. And Jamal in Anguilla. Travis, beg your pardon, and Trabon of Pond Extension. And I forgot the names of those who live in Carolina. They always listen. And as well, I want to say a belated happy birthday to Kenny over there at the garage in Boogie Down, Bronx. I forgot, Azula House, please forgive me, I forgot to hail Kenny on Monday. It was his birthday. And over there at the garage in Boogie Down, Bronx. So let me mention it before I forget again. And for those and how can I forget that special lady in St. Louis? I almost lost my job. And my Straight Talk family, obituaries, those who have lost loved ones, I want to extend profound condolences to those who have lost loved ones. I saw on social media, it was a good friend of mine from Irish Town, Splinter. I was surprised that he's gone to the great beyond. But of us who have lost loved ones, I extend condolences again to you. If we don't listen to a particular radio station, I never seem to get these death announcements. But death is a process nonetheless, and my Straight Talk family, we all have life, and once we have life, there's hope, and thank God for life. For the information of our first-timers as well, usually we first consider our observations in review, after which I present a dissertation or short thesis. The title of my thesis tonight, I mentioned earlier, is St. Kitts-Nevis CBI, that's Citizenship by Investment program, that is, the good, the bad, and the convicted. And our observations in review are an integral part of Straight Talk, after which I will normally move into my thesis, and following my thesis, I will then include your calls, your emails, as well as I mentioned earlier, to ensure or to allow your full participation in Straight Talk. And during our observations and review, it's a time when we highlight the current issues and do some reflection. You may then ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how has it helped others, that's important. What has changed since, and what can be expected next, and what new we have learned as a people. Because Straight Talk, my family, it's all about a learning process. We have to improve lives in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have to improve situations. When you see what's happening around us, it's sometimes saddening. It saddens me at times when you see what's the things that are happening around us, and some of us just turn a blind eye. That's something difficult for me to do. And my first observation, my Straight Talk family, I want to say that January 2024 should have brought with it the introduction of an increased minimum wage, and we ought to have been happy for that announcement by the Jew administration. But sad to say that such an increase has had no positive impact on the cost of living in St. Kitts and Nevis, because poor people still cannot afford the houses being built, for example, by the government, as they are still not bankable, even with that increase in minimum wage. A matter of fact, these houses were not for the poor people. You had to be bankable, as Lucifer said, my Straight Talk family. So even these houses being built by the government, poor people cannot afford, because, as I said, they are not bankable even with the increased wage. People still can't afford to buy carnation milk, Kellogg cornflakes, or sardine, and be reminded of this single mother who cried out to Dr. Jew, sad, when we would have heard his response. This lady cried out, my Straight Talk family, and it's no different today as it was back then.
It's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Imagine a little tin of sardine for $5. It's ridiculous, Mr. Prime Minister, and we really need a help, but we do have a rough time.
Yes, people in St. Kitts under this Jew administration are having a rough time. People still cannot find jobs. Yet Dr. Jew says the opposite. I heard him, and I didn't have time to really make that soundbite about Marriott wanting 50 jobs and wanting work permits and can't find people to work in St. Kitts. Nonsense. I do not believe that for one moment, my Straight Talk family, because some people have not even got their jobs back since COVID-19. my Straight Dog family. But everybody who heard Dr. Drew, however, scoffed at yet another July. My Straight Dog family, our second observation looks at the Director of Public Prosecutions, who has gone silent, beg your pardon, on the lack of compliance with regards to the IPL, the Integrity in Public Life requirements. According to Director of Public Prosecution, Adley Smith, there was a lengthy list. I'll continue to remind you, a very lengthy list according to his own admission. If you look at paragraph 4, I've noted it. There's a lengthy list according to DPP Smith. If there's this lengthy list, DPP Smith, then why? Just tell us why you have only charged 8 people, my Straight Dog family. Only 8 persons have been charged, although the DPP has told us that he is in possession of a lengthy list. And what's happening if you have this lengthy list, DPP Smith? That being so, you have this lengthy list as you so publish. So all we are asking our DPP is to give us full disclosure. All we need is full disclosure, DPP Smith. So we are following this story as well. I got a very interesting call this morning from a young lady who lives in the rural area, lives in the West, we can call it, and has to commute every day to and from work. And even on Sundays, she goes to church in Basseterre. And she called me this morning and asked me a favor. She asked me to grant her a simple favor, and I promised I would do so without hesitation, my Straight Dog family. I promised I will grant her that favor. And the favor was to tell July, this is what she said to me, Patches, please do not forget. These are her words, and I'll quote them. She said, please do not forget, Patches, to tell July that with all this rain that fell last night and this morning, she said, we had no worries. She continued, about going home last night from Basseterre, is the first thing she said. And she had no worries about coming to work this morning. So she asked me to tell Dr. Drew that he was talking nonsense. And these are her words. I'm following her instructions. She said to tell Dr. Drew that he was talking nonsense when he mentioned that the works done at the Old Road Bay was taking away took away the beauty from Old Road Bay. And obviously, he had no concern whatsoever about our safety. This is what Dr. Drew said, and she asked me as well to play the soundbite.
With respect to the Old Road Bay, we see what they did there, and I said that was done on the previous administration. we had a plan for the old road bay. We would not have touched the bay. We would have cut the road through the mountains and opened up all that land for development and leave the pristine old road bay. We still have a plan. We still have the plan, but we see what happened, that what they pursued was to put large rocks there, and it affected the beauty of the old road bay. But we would have gone on the top and leave the nature intact on the lower end.
And this lady said to me via telephone this afternoon, she said, Patches, I'm reminding you, I am on my way home this afternoon and I have to pay or have to pass, like so many other people, thousands who commute daily across Old Road Bay. Please remind Dr. Jew, it's not about beauty across Old Road Bay, it's about our safety. And if I was leaving home or going home this afternoon, I'll be wondering, when will a rock fall from Old Road Bay after all this rain? Would the road be divided, severed from the network? And I had to calm this good lady by telling her that, please, Dr. Jew, or Jew is a medical doctor, is what I told her rather. And he must keep out of engineering matters. I told her that as a responsible servant minister, not an engineer, I therefore solicited the best engineering solution to build the kind of resilience that we now have across that stretch of road, that stretch of roadway next to the Caribbean Sea. And the solution we sought was this.
We were mandated to undertake the design and make the final recommendation, and that we did. Needless to say, we also had to take into consideration the environmental issues in terms of disturbances that we would have to do to the environment. Also, we looked at consistent erosion in the area. And finally, the design which we have settled on would provide us with the best environmental solution using the material that we can harvest from St. Kitts. Also, with local contractors and efforts, we think that the solution provide the most economical and will engage to the great extent the people of St. Kitts.
And of course, my Stray Dog family, the consultants not only looked at economics, the consultants looked at the landside option and stability and reported their findings to yours truly. This is what he said in a nutshell.
We looked also at the stability of the upper topography of the area and realized that we face a number of problems. One, and most significantly, is the stability of the upper lands. It is susceptible to slippage, erosion, and we brought in some of our local meaning Jamaican expertise and other consultants that worked with us to look at the area, and we were advised that it is extremely unstable and weathering once exposed will be the major issue. So we look further at benching, similar to the project we have done at Timothy Hill, but the formation of the soil condition is not as stable, and that also we ruled out. We also looked at revetment and protection and stabilization of the slope, benching, and other solutions which we thought would have been applicable. So that's the land side of the project.
So when you hear Dr. Drew talking is nonsense. These are the facts. This was the best engineering solution of the options that were presented. So my advice to Dr. Drew, as I told the lady, I will make mention of this tonight. My advice to Dr. Drew is for him to stick to his medicine and focus on improving the poor state at the Joseph N. France General Hospital and the overall health of St. Kitts and Nevis. Our health is our wealth, Dr. Drew, is all I can remind you. And those are my observations in review for tonight. And I'll move right into my thesis, which I said earlier. I titled St. Kitts-Nevis CBI, the good, the bad, and the convicted. My Shidok family, our founding fathers, Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, Caleb Azariah Paul Southwell, Joseph Nathaniel France, Simeon Daniel Lee Moore, and Ronald Webster to some extent. They all fought long and hard to earn political independence from Great Britain. Also, national self-determination for their respective islands of St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla. And consequently for St. Kitts, Nevis, the status of citizenship for all their people, because Anguilla decided to remain as a colony. And it was Thomas Humphrey Marshall, an English sociologist, best known for his essay, Citizenship and Social Class, in which he introduced the idea that full citizenship includes civil, political, and social citizenship. According to Marshall, citizenship is a status bestowed on those who are full members of a community. All who possess the status he opined are equal with respect to the rights and duties with which the status is endowed. Citizenship defines not only civic rights and responsibilities, but also opportunities. Not all citizenships are equal, however, as different passports grant diverse benefits, ranging from freedom from discrimination to ease of international travel. There are widespread inequalities of access to the most coveted countries of the world. For example, all but 60 or 62 citizenships in the world require a visit to travel to the Schengen area in Europe. The Schengen area is a border-free zone that comprises of 26 European countries in which citizens of each country can travel, work, and live without special formalities. Any person legally present on the Schengen territory can cross international or internal borders freely without being subjected to border check. Visa-free access to the zone is desirable for both business and leisure purposes. That being my point of departure tonight brings me to what I call respectfully the passport trade under what is referred to in our CBI program. Our passport is the commodity that replaces sugar in our case, or to some it is foreign direct investment that helps us as a country to earn billions of dollars classified as non-tax revenue. Ironically, EU representatives, the European Union representatives, including its head of visa policy and its liaison in Barbados, met in Dominica just over a week ago with representatives of countries in the Caribbean with CBI programs to discuss their concerns with our programs. The meetings were attended by heads of the Caribbean citizenship investment units and attorney generals from countries with CBI programs, namely Dominica, St. Kitts-Nevis, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Lucia. The European Union is concerned with the potential national security and immigration risk associated with the granting of citizenship to individuals that the EU does not wish to grant access to Europe. The St. Kitts-Nevis CBI program, we've always heard, is one of the longest, if not the longest program that has existed since 1984, some 40 years ago. The St. Kitts-Nevis program was the first to offer citizenship, and it has evolved since 1984. It was back in 2006. The debate began following the introduction of the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation, the SIDF. And allegations were constantly made about corruption, as there was absolutely no disclosure in respect of the massive amount of monies, millions of dollars, that was controlled by the foundation. Strange but true. The same players are in control today as we speak. Yes, back in 2006, in keeping with Part 3, Section 12, Subsection 1 of the Foundations Act, which stipulated that the business and affairs of the foundation shall be managed by a board of councillors. Who were they? Terence Crosman was in charge eventually of this SIDF. Joseph Edmeade, then Cabinet Secretary. Rosalind Hazel, a former permanent secretary and ambassador. Hermia Morton Anthony and Michael Martin were all appointed. And I think back then, Hesketh Benjamin as well was on the board of councillors. Today as we speak, my Straight Talk family, the husband of Hermia Morton Anthony is the chairman of the CBI Board of Governors, or Governors, beg your pardon. Let me repeat that. Tonight, as I speak with you, the husband of Hermia Morton Anthony is chairman of the CBI Board of Governors. Terence Crosman is a member of the said board. And Michael Martin is now the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of the Citizenship by Investment Unit. Is this what they call old wine in a new bottle? What I'm saying, my Straight Talk family, the status quo has been revised, or was revised, by this Jew Labour administration. The SIDF, it was said, was established in 2006 for the purpose of supporting the former sugar workers, conducting research into the development of industries to replace our sugar industry, which was closed in 2005 over the dead body of the then Prime Minister, and funding the development of these alternative industries, also providing further support to secure the sustainability of such industries. The bad thing was that the SIDF pumped millions of dollars into enterprises like Kitts-Nevis, $93 million, and Christopher Harbour. The latter, Christopher Harbour, benefited from a loan of $43 million, which it never paid back. Moreover, at least during the meeting with Dominica, the European Union expressed apprehension about the low-cost, high-volume model of CBI adopted in the various programs. But Dr. Drew remained tight-lipped about the discussions, although he said this, my straight talk family. He was tight-lipped, but he likes to talk, so he said this, my straight talk family.
I wouldn't speak to it. I think there was a meeting and I respect the time when a report will be put together. But this is what I will say in general, that the changes that we have made to strengthen the program, those are being welcomed. And we encourage other Caribbean countries to also consider, along with their changes, theirs, and we will look at theirs to see what we can also adopt.
But July performs at his best. Lying is synonymous, igual, as we say in Spanish, in Espanol. Lying is synonymous to Drew, because St. Lucia, for example, has not hiked their CBI rates. Have not, my straight talk family. Look at St. Lucia. Its rates, my straight talk family, are pellucid, they're clear. So when he said that they have hiked their rates, they have not. That is so far from the truth, my straight talk family. And I wonder why. Why on earth that our Prime Minister continues to fabricate like that. Look at this official memorandum from St. Lucia to authorize agents, promoters, and marketing agents from the Citizenship by Investment Unit in St. Lucia. The subject, introduction of new, my straight talk family, introduction, it says, of new application forms and investment option. And it reads, and I quote, the St. Lucia Citizenship by Investment Unit, the unit, is pleased to announce the introduction of its latest application forms and new investment option commencing Monday, 5th February 2024. The new application forms create a simpler and more efficient method of collecting critical applicant data while eliminating redundancies associated with the existing ones. It continues, the number of forms has been reduced from 8 to 5 while capturing all essential data for the thorough verification and screening of applicants. Authorized agents can anticipate improved efficiency with the introduction of these new forms and an overall enhancement in their current capacity. Titled the infrastructure option, this investment category falls within the existing enterprises project investment as option 1. This latter option offers an expanded option to developers or for developers to invest in projects which are towards enhancing the country's infrastructure. Prices begin at US $100,000 for a single application and $150,000 for a family of up to 4 members. Further details can be obtained from the Citizenship by Investment Unit. The approved enterprise project option is now expanded and provides the opportunity for applicants to invest in one of the following developments: special restaurants, cruise ports and marinas, agro-processing plants. My Straight Talk family, this is from St. Lucia, beg your pardon. And we remember we showed you the revenue, almost $1 billion being derived from St. Lucia. Transparency is what is important in this game, my Straight Talk family. Not in St. Kitts. You don't give a toot of what he does. He signs thousands of forms, thousands of certificates of registration, and as far as he's concerned, it's not our business. But my Straight Talk family, CBI programs allow high net worth individuals to skip the arduous naturalization process to gain citizenship via an investment transaction. These programs grant citizenship, my Straight Talk family, in exchange for a significant monetary contribution to the country. But Dr. Drew even lied, my Straight Talk family, which he knows best. He even, I should say, continued to lie about the prison project when asked the question. And this is what, remember, he said before about the prison project. Let's remind ourselves about this, my Straight Talk family.
We understand with the CBI program, you just can't switch to anything else.
Yes, remember he said that. The CBI program, you just can't switch to anything else, my Straight Talk family. That's what he said. But that was 3 months after assuming the Prime Minister's office and the Minister of Finance and the Minister with responsibility for citizenship. But liars, they say, have no memory, my Straight Talk family. And after signing thousands of certificates of registration, July is acting like Joe Biden, who has cognitive challenges, as they describe. And as a man almost half of Joe Biden's age, July is obviously having difficulty with his long-term memory and communication ability. Because just yesterday, he said this, my Straight Talk family.
We are committed to making sure that we build schools and hospitals before we build a prison. That is why we are on the verge now of starting the hospital this year. We are going to start the Obadiah School. We have started work on the Basdale High School and the hospital, as I said before. So hospitals, schools, and housing before prison.
So does that mean the prison project is stalled for now?
No, we are, of course, the prison project was there. There was a contract signed, and we are evaluating it. But we are making sure that whatever comes of it, that we want it to comply with the laws that we have passed.
You recognize he gave us two different stories, my Straight Talk family? He does have, as I said, cognitive challenges. And my Straight Talk family, that's what we have come to expect from our Prime Minister, sadly. But there is plenty good in the St. Kitts-Nevis citizenship by investment program. We have to confess that there's plenty good in this program. And to confirm that, let's just look, my Straight Talk family, let's just look at the revenue collected from this program. Let's just look just quickly at the revenue, my Straight Talk family. And you can glean from your screen that, my Straight Talk family, the actuals The actuals collected from that program in 2021, you can see that those figures, my Street Dog family, very clear, very pellucid, the amount of money that's collected from the program. Look at the projections, my Street Dog family. Look at those projections as well. And you can glean from that information that there's quite a lot of good that can derive from our program. Millions of dollars. But how such money is spent is another question. How that money is spent by Straight Dog family, it's another question, I said. And we have to ask ourselves if that money is being spent wisely. Ask ourselves that question, my Straight Dog family. And you be the guest. You be the judge, beg your pardon. You tell us what you think, whether Dr. Drew is spending this money wisely. And over the years as well, my Straight Dog family, there was plenty bad as well. We almost remember the Mogadam issue, my Straight Dog family. How many of us remember the Mogadam issue? Back then in 2014 or 2014, my Straight Dog family.
Meeting on Monday the 7th of January 2013, ministers approved the appointment of Mr. Ali Zia Mohadam, a national of Iran, who had formerly acquired citizenship of St. Kitts and Nevis through the investment program. Mr. Mohadam was issued with a diplomatic passport. He, on his travels to Canada, presented such passport to the authorities there. The authorities sought to confirm his role, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed to Canada the details of Mr. Mohadam's appointment and the specifics of his remit.
My Straight Dog family, the rest is history. And because of the bad in the CBI, we lost our visa free waiver status that we had with Canada. We have got some reprieve, because now we can go to Canada, but we have to complete an ETA, as it's called, an electronic application. Those who have US visas, it's much easier for them. But my Straight Dog family, tonight I want to submit. It is the convicted criminal that bothers most of us. Philippe Martinez was not welcomed in Barbados, as he could not even pass that country's smell test. Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, refused to see him, and none of her cabinet members would have spoken with this convicted felon. Somehow, contact was made with this Barbadian woman. I tried to remember her name. Was working in Mark's Nevis Tourism Authority during COVID. I think her contract is now expired. The Snake Mark Brantley knows that Bajan woman who worked in the Nevis Investment Promotion Agency. The contact was made with her, and no doubt she referred him to the snake. But all we can say, that Nevis is a place obviously where bandits go. After all, there's a snake called Mark Anthony Brantley, who is the premier of Nevis, my straight dog family. Mark Anthony Brantley is the premier of Nevis. He's a minister of finance in Nevis. And according to our constitution, he has some oversight on the police posted in Nevis. And I have to be cautious with this. But he has some authority to speak with the superintendent of police. Limited authority, I may add. The superintendent of police in Nevis. But we are not in Nevis. We are in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And like in the Schengen region, once you enter Nevis, you take a ferry or a taxi to St. Kitts. No need to go through immigration or no need to have border checks. So what is troubling right-thinking persons in St. Kitts-Nevis, my straight dog family, is the convicted criminal who heads the only approved public benefit option of our citizenship by investment program. Many ask if Philippe Martinez was a Kittitian on the vision who went to jail, would it have been okay? Or is it because he is a white European from France? The address of MSR Hotels is listed, my straight dog family. It is listed as the law firm owned by the snake. Yes, my straight dog family. The address of the MSR Hotel is listed, as you can see on your screen there, as the law firm owned by the snake Mark Brantley. And interesting enough, my straight dog family, it is dated, that submission to the FSRC or the Nevis Register is dated April 2022. Remember, my straight dog family, the House or the Parliament was dissolved in St. Kitts in May 2022. Think about it. But if you think that's interesting, my straight dog family, look at this. Look at this, my straight dog family. Look at this. You see it, my straight dog family? The certificate of registration, my straight dog family, is dated. Is dated, my straight dog family, November 2020. I said 2022. It was April 2020. Beg your pardon. No, sorry. April. Yes, April 2022. And the certificate of registry. Look at it, my straight dog family. It's there before you. Dated November 2022. Interesting information, my straight dog family. That's the most I will say when it comes to MSR. And we ask ourselves many questions. When we examine the workings of our CBI program, after 40 years, we must reflect on the good, the bad, and the convicted. A few government ministers, their cronies, and investor friends have made millions of dollars from our patrimony, from the sale of our passports. It is a fact. It is a fact, my straight dog family, that investments in programs that offer a hand up to petitions and individuals in poverty are consistently small. Instead of helping the local businesses on St. Kitts, $43 million went to the Christopher Harbour over there on the southeast peninsula, my Straight Dog family. And what's the explanation for this?
The development is still ongoing, but it has been slow. There are other issues that have to be ironed out. I think the developer is, which is Ambed Darby and his family members, they are looking for a major investor to do a number of complete the establishment of the marina. The marina has been built, but it is not receiving enough support that was anticipated. The completion of a golf course also was started, marked up by an international golfing star. But again, that has not. Of course, there are some challenges with regard to financing of.
Challenges with financing. So why these private investors have to come to St. Kitts with a briefcase full of nothing? Broke. And on the labor, Christopher Harbour got 2,500 acres of land for peanuts. They got 13 miles of shoreline and 6 of our best beaches and made them inaccessible to the public. Yes, my Straight Dog family, do you believe that? They got all this land and beaches and shoreline they boasted about.
Christopher Harbor is 2,500 acres of land. We've got 13 miles of shoreline with the property, 6 beaches, of which I would argue that at least 3 of the 6 beaches are in the top 10 beaches in the Caribbean, which I think says a lot about the natural beauty.
Yes, my Straight Dog family. But having sold all those lands at thousands of dollars per acre and repatriated millions of dollars overseas, who would believe that a select board of directors, hear me out, who would believe, my Straight Dog family, that a select board of directors would agree to swap land for the debt Christopher Harbour owed on electricity? You cut off the foot soldier. Doesn't he have anything to swap? But you swap debts owed, millions owed by Christopher Harbour on electricity for land. We need to know about that land. Congress, the soca engineer, having sold all those lands at thousands of dollars per acre and repatriated millions of dollars overseas, my Straight Dog family, who would believe that Christopher Harbour has still not paid the government and the St. Kitts-Nevis and Willa National Bank an accumulated debt of $130 million, and which they are still negotiating with the bank and the government debt forgiveness? But we are watching that play with eagle eyes. Straight Talk has not raised this issue for a long time, but we are still watching the St. Kitts-Nevis and Willa National Bank and the Jew government closely, my Straight Dog family. But those are some of the bad we can speak about when it comes to the CBI, St. Kitts-Nevis CBI. But the good thing we can report, though, is that CBI receipts helped us, my Straight Dog family. CBI receipts helped us to navigate COVID-19, a pandemic which had no template, a pandemic never seen in over a century. But the CBI receipts help us to navigate this pandemic. And this started with stimulus package by the astute Prime Minister then and Minister of Finance, my Straight Talk family.
No other government anywhere in the world has gone as far as we have in terms of our stimulus package. It has been comprehensive and it has been thoughtfully put. Our people, however, must make adjustment. Adjustment are required by all of us for this at this time. Even as we look at the reopening of school, the government has taken a policy decision that all who require their uniforms will get them again absolutely free. These are all part of the stimulus, well, beyond the stimulus, part of the government's compassionate response to help the people in need.
And that good that was distributed to the people was as a result of CBI, our St. Kitts-Nevis CBI. We dealt with the good, we dealt with the bad. But that was a blessing in disguise. And we may ask, how else could we have survived? But in came this heartless July to office. Only concern, it still seems, about traveling the world and filling their long pockets with money or a per diem from our treasury. As leader, he moved from his home in his constituency of St. Peter's to a gated community at Beacon Heights at the expense of the poor taxpayers. One senator moved from her home in St. Paul's. She moved into the Silver Reef condominiums on Frigate Bay. The slow student found Pond's extension not good enough for him, and he moved to Frigate Bay as well. Look at what was done to thousands of poor people on PAP, the Poverty Alleviation Program. Using this young, inexperienced senator from Monkey Hill, and under the guise of an IMF recommendation, and to minimize spending on the poverty-related social assistance program like PAP, the Jew Labor Administration continues to let thousands of poor people go hungry. These are the brutal steps that the Jew Labor Administration have fully embraced. Imagine this, my Straight Talk family. Imagine this cut in the budget.
The budget, we would have had a budget to cover for this year about 4,600, just over 4,600 persons receiving this assistance. That's what would have been budgeted in 2023 budget. We know that was a significant cut to the number of persons who was receiving the $500 last year. But of course, we're trying to streamline our social assistance programs and reduce the level of dependency we have on these programs. And so that was the initial decision that was taken.
Imagine, you met a program coming out of COVID with almost 8,000 people, and you come to office in a budget for 4,006. What a cut. We had what I call an academic invasion by a young, green, and reckless senator who was purportedly raised in the Anglican Church, but yet so heartless, and to add insult to injury, she yielded to advice from an institution that was born out of the Second World War. Yes, my Straight Talk family, the IMF is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD. And when the bombing, for example, ceases in Ukraine, when Israel completes the flattening of the buildings in the Gaza, the IMF will move into those areas to reconstruct and develop those cities that were bombed to the ground. We all therefore ought to be saddened by this advice that was accepted and supported by, embraced by Drew and his inexperienced members of cabinet, my straight dog family. This is her confession.
The advice we have gotten, particularly from IMF reports, is that we actually need to streamline our social service. And so we understand, of course, that people need assistance immediately, and we really try to service people who are most vulnerable. And so we also want to be able to apply conditions so that when we ask questions like, how are you using the PAP money? We're not trying to be invasive. We're just really trying to understand if it is that you're using this $500 to pay your lights, if you're needing the money to pay for food.
What if you want to use the $500 to buy shoes for your children? Yes, you are invasive. Why would we want the IMF to reconstruct our poverty alleviation program that has rescued so many families in St. Kitts-Nevis? Why do we want to use an IMF prescription? Is a fair question. Anyone, my straight dog family, or any government that proposes cuts to food or social assistance as part of its deficit reduction efforts are not in touch with reality. They are not in touch with the people on the ground, as many, if not all of these efforts, fortunately, have been fruitless. That is why we must continue, my straight dog family, to strongly detest this absurd proposition, this silly proposition we in St. Kitts-Nevis, or rather that we in St. Kitts-Nevis are a high-income country. What absurdity, my straight dog family.
Over the years, despite a number of bumps and hurdles, the Federation has steadily grown and developed, raising the standard of living for thousands of its people. World Bank statistics show that among the 15 Caribbean countries which make up the Caribbean community and common market, St. Kitts and Nevis has the second highest per capita income. At over US $18,000 per annum, it is second only to the Bahamas and classified in the high income bracket.
Who makes $18,000 per annum in St. Kitts? Who are in this high income bracket? Nonsense. And I give kudos to Governor Timothy Antoine of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, who never minced his words about such an erroneous analysis. Timothy Antoine called for the broad adoption of the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index, the MVI, to determine access to grants and concessional financing that we all as SIDS, small island development states, need. Drew talks about being the first sustainable island state. So how we achieve such a goal using, as Governor Antoine rightly rubbished it, as this archaic, I think he means antiquated, primitive reliance on per capita income, which according to him is an analytic absurdity. And I so concur with Governor Antoine, who said this.
We also call for the broad adoption of the Multi-Dimensional Vulnerability Index for determining access to grants and concessional financing, as opposed to the archaic reliance on per capita income, which frankly spoken is an analytical absurdity and is simply not fit for purpose.
And I totally agree, and I'm sure you would. Per capita income is an analytic absurdity. And Timothy Antoine could not have said it any better, my straight dog family. Per capita income is not fit for purpose. My straight dog family, the Alliance of Small Island States, AOSIS, is an intergovernmental organization of low-lying coastal and small island countries. EOSIS was established in 1990, some 34 years ago, my Straight Talk family, ahead of the Second World Climate Conference. The main purpose of the alliance is to consolidate the voices of small island development states, SIDS, to address global warming. These island countries are particularly vulnerable to climate change and its related effects on the ocean. We in St. Kitts-Nevis can speak from experience about the related effects that include sea level rise, coastal erosion, and salt water intrusion. The Old Road Bay, my Straight Talk family, at one time we thought it was sinking. But in fact, the sea level was rising. Our coastal erosion demanded the revetment to protect our coastal villages and towns. Look at Irish Town Bay, go around Fort Lands. And don't talk about the salt water intrusion in our aquifers. The Bastia Valley Aquifer is a good example. My Straight Talk family, the AOSIS functions primarily as an ad hoc lobby and negotiating voice for SIDS through the United Nations system. Alternatively, the Jew administration needs to aggressively act to reduce poverty, which in turn will reduce the number of people in need of basic needs assistance. But this would, however, require a dramatic shift in its priorities. Then we shall be as a city on the hill. In a commentary found in the Lincoln Institute and written by Loman Henry, an excerpt reads, and I quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." According to Henry, today, Americans hear those words and nod their heads in agreement, because throughout their entire lives, the sentiments expressed in the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence are simply accepted as fact. But it was not always so, Henry opined, because at the time of its signing, the Declaration of Independence was literally, philosophically, and religiously a revolutionary document. Up until that time, he wrote, the king or queen was sovereign. Individuals did not possess unalienable rights. But as our founding fathers pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor in support of this dramatic departure in the affairs of mankind, they were simply returning to the Christian roots so many of them espoused. Endowed by their Creator, those poetic words changed the power paradigm. Rights were not derived from the reigning monarch, but from God the Creator. Ultimately, political power now resides in people, not kings. And more importantly, the people possess political power because it was now recognized as having been given to them directly from Almighty God. In our own constitution, the Constitution of St. Christopher Nevis, there is a preamble, we must read it. An explicit statement which reads, and I quote, "Whereas the people of St. Christopher and Nevis, A, declare that the nation is established on the belief in Almighty God and the inherent dignity of each individual. B, assert that they are entitled to the protection of fundamental rights and freedoms. C, believe in the concept of true democracy with free and fair elections. D, desire the creation of a climate of economic well-being in the context of respect for law and order. And E, are committed to achieve their national objectives with a unity of purpose. My Straight Talk family, tonight we have highlighted the good, we have highlighted the bad, but the most important and troublesome of them all is the convicted. There's a virtual launch of the first public benefit option by a convicted criminal, Philippe Martinez. And this has derived many questions that must be answered by July. Many questions that must be answered by the snake, Mark Brantley. Many questions that must be answered by the disgraced Garth Lucifer Wilkin, the chief legal advisor to the Prime Minister, and who, according to the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court records, committed a criminal or criminal offenses that should have disqualified him from holding public office. How did Philippe Martinez keep past the due diligence process, which is supposedly so rigid, is very inconsistent? Dr. Jew and his disgraced Attorney General Garth Lucifer Wilkin and the Board of Governors of the CIU or the CBI are obligated to St. Kitts and Nevis to show cause why Philippe Martinez was not disqualified given his criminal record. Is it in the public interest to have a convicted criminal trading in our passports? Was Philippe Martinez ever convicted of a criminal offense and sentenced to prison for 4 or more years, Dr. Drew? These and other questions raised earlier are pertinent questions that must be addressed as they speak to the very survival of over 55% of the non-tax revenue to be collected, along with all who participate in the St. Kitts-Nevis CBI program, the good, the bad, and the convicted. That's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I am not going to change it. I will open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. Yes, I had to tarry long because this is an important development in St. Kitts and Nevis that exposes the good, the bad, and the convicted within our St. Kitts Nevis Citizenship by Investment program. I will open the lines now and entertain your calls and your emails. Before I do so, first of all, I want to beg you to let's use our time more efficiently tonight. Let's try to say what we have to say in 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. I'll be reasonable, but not for 5 and 6 and 7 minutes. No, there's so many people who want to call as well, my Straight Dog family. I also want to implore you to respect others, and of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill, and better friendships. And in the process of saying and doing those things, let us ensure that we strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, I go to the lines and say good night to my
good night.
Good night, my dear brother. How art thou?
I'm fine, Mr. Patel. I just hope what you just said you will do. So I can check you. Cause I got a clock in my house.
Well, your clock is running, so you better start talking.
Pardon?
Yes, sir.
We have to give God thanks and praise
All the
for
time.
this week, my God.
Yes.
God is good to us again. God pay us again. And we have to give God all the praise. And we have to do what is right in the sight of the living God.
Yes.
So that is, I am not going to take up no more time. I'm going to watch you and see what's going down. See you. Have a pleasant night.
Thank you for your understanding, my dear brother. Guided by the rules that we've laid down in terms of the time we use on the program. And I'm saying again, let's try to say what we have to say in 2 minutes. That's a long time. You can say a lot of things in 2 minutes. At 9:26, caller, you're live.
Good night, Mr. Leiber.
Good night, my dear brother Carl. How about thou?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad for my age. I'm just thanking the Lord and enjoying this lovely rain that we so longly desire to have. Right? Patrice, concerning those lands at the peninsula, the Dr. Kennedy Simmons Highway, that is what over there is duly and rightly called. Right? How much of that land is going back to Skelec for the millions of dollars that is owed to Skelec? And why they are negotiating to get debt-free forgiveness by National Bank for in over $100+ million? Why don't they give back National Bank some of that land? In the debt forgiveness, we have to give up to the banks them for their money under the Dr. Denzel Douglas. We have to give back lands for the debt. So why don't Christoph Harbour give back lands to National Bank for the debt?
Important perspective.
The other thing is we are calling for a cabinet reshuffle. Definitely, Mr. Samuel Duggins have to be reshuffled. He is non-functional in sports, non-functional in agriculture. Patches, quickly before I go. In schools, we have no school netball, no school basketball, no school volleyball, no school lawn tennis, no school table tennis. And you say Samuel Duggins is the Minister of Sports? The only thing we have in school in sports right now is the little athletics and football. That's all we have going on in St. Kitts. Right? So we are asking directly for the removal of Mr. Samuel Duggins from the Ministry of Sports and from the Ministry of Agriculture. And there is some more cabinet reshuffling now. But we're going to deal with them another night. I'm gone.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Calling for reshuffle. I'm laughing as some people say, don't cry for who's gone, cry for who's coming. I wonder who would be part of that reshuffle. It's 9:29, my Straight Talk family. I go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Patrice.
Good night, my brother.
And good night, all listeners. A lot of them tell me that they don't wait for this program, but they don't come. I had decided to pass tonight, to see if them who tell you that they can't get in. I leave this space for them to get in. But anyway, let me move on. Evil think as evil does. Terrence lying Joe, as the Prime Minister of St. Kitts. He know what his intentions are. That is why the reason when he get in here first, he start to accuse people in Development Bank of this $20-something million what he's missing in Development Bank. Well, who now is raping the Treasury? Who is he, administration, raping the Treasury with taxpayers' money? going here and there and everywhere. Look at it, Grenada got the celebration of independence. Fidel Castro, who helped Grenada to build an airport, he never leave Cuba and go there. He ain't going nowhere. But this one here ain't do nothing in Grenada and everything they got anyway. Look how we know that nobody holding the foot to the fire with the taxpayers' money in the treasury. So he's using it and wasting it. And he's saying, look, one Labour leader said, when he get out of office, Pam leader and the government would not have any money in there to spend. And that is what them Labour people got in their head, to mash up the country and full up long pocket and tell a load of lies. Dr. Joe, he do not have the leadership. He knows nothing about engineering of no country. He knows nothing about leading no country. All he knows is about to use his stethoscope and check human to see how the medical condition is, and he better stick to that because he mashing up the country, and it's time for people in Sinkers, whoever organization is responsible, to make them step down and give an account for the money that they are wasting in this country. We have to sleep in. But anyway, Patrice, thank you for your time. 2 minutes must be up. 2 minutes must be up.
Thank you as well. Thank you as well.
Before I go, listen to this. I always say, let me move out the way so others could get a chance to come in. So they mean me. Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you as well. Thank you, my Street Dog family. It's 9:32, my Street Dog family. And for those who may have just joined me, our thesis tonight, the good, the bad, and the convicted. And we wonder how a convicted felon can get into our citizenship by investment program. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
A pleasant evening to you, Patrice. How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself? How art thou?
I'm okay.
I can see those dimples, yes.
Patrice, when they're asking for Samal to reshuffle, I think the whole cabinet needs shuffling, starting from Dr. Joe, because none of them in the local, they know what to do. Or they gone in there for? To get the cash, to go away, buy clothes, and come back down here, come show off. That's all they gone in there for. If I were president, good evening.
Thank you very much. My Street Dog family, very interesting perspective, But about this reshuffle, though, I'm trying to wrap my mind up this possible reshuffle. I've seen it on social media that the cabinet is going to be reshuffled and lots of things. I don't normally fall for these things we hear because I like to ensure that we can bring facts here on Straight Talk. We don't really fall for the rumors. And this email has sent me the Equality Act 2010. What do I need to know? A summary guide to your rights. Perhaps thanks for this emailer, and I will find some time to read it. Obviously, I sometimes wonder if the snake is an obvious reptile to get away from so many improper cases that he is involved in. Some partners are currently serving time in a U.S. jail, and he's out. There are many other corrupt matters that he is party to, and nothing tangible taking place. Moon run until they catch it. Reads this email. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mr. Labor.
So.
I forgot this one. Well, some homework for you, check into this one. We need to know if it is true that the Prime Minister will be wedded next week, Wednesday, the 14th of February in Barbados. And why is it that the nation has not got a full statement from the Prime Minister that he will be a newlywed again, married man, next week, Wednesday, the 14th of December in Barbados? It is all over all kind of news. It is all on all kind of social media. So why is it that there is no official announcement from the government? Have you heard anything? Well, I missed two. I didn't listen to news yesterday nor today. Right? So maybe some folks could do some homework and let us know if the Prime Minister is going to get married next week, Wednesday, Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, 2024 in Barbados.
Okay.
I'm gone.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. I will have a chat about that at some other time, but I go back to the lines at 9:36. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Liebert. How are you?
I am peaceful, my brother, and I didn't do your homework. You know, I remembered tonight, and I was in such a hustle that and it's simple to find, but I can promise you I'll do that. So I hope that.
Never mind.
I apologize. I apologize.
I will put you in detention. Have no fear.
Don't make it too long, please.
Anyhow, one of your observations tonight dealt with the hospital.
Yep.
And I have not been up the hospital in ages, but I've been getting some reports that things up there are in pretty bad state. I've been hearing some very sickening situations. You hear of beds up there that don't have sheets. You hear of bathrooms in terrible states, not being cleaned properly and things of that nature. And then I've heard recently that some guy was up there for an operation, and he had to do the necessary blood tests and had to get blood and that kind of thing for this operation. And during the course of the operation, when he needed this blood transfusion, the blood bank sent down the wrong blood to the man. And luckily somebody picked it up before they started to feed this blood into this individual, or we might have had a funeral to go to. So it just shows that things are really, really out of whack. And we hear about all this smart this and smart that. We should start to smarten up the present hospital before we think about building a new hospital. Because this hospital, something seems to be going wrong. And with a qualified doctor as Minister of Health, one would think that things will be better than that. I don't know if the PDP workers up there are disenchanted with his management of the health department or whatever, but something seems to be wrong. Maybe you can investigate. I don't know if you have friends or family up there who can give you some more insight. But the hospital gone downhill. It's down in a crab hole. It's below ground. It needs attention.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, you are so correct. Those are. I sometimes wonder what the hell has gone wrong at the JNF. But if we reflect, though, a caller, the last time a medical doctor was appointed Minister of Health, that was way back in 1995. And that medical doctor, Earl Asim Walters, or Earl Asim Martin as he's called, was also Cuban trained. And our health system went, as you said, down the drain, And now we have another medical doctor trained in Cuba, who now heads the Ministry of Health, and the same direction in which the hospital or health generally is going or has gone. So the empirical evidence before us would tend to suggest that medical doctors are not necessarily the best administrators when it comes to the portfolio of health. I should say medical doctors are not the best managers or the best persons to manage and generally control the Ministry of Health as prescribed by the Constitution in terms of the departments. Mr. Azad reads this email. On Island Tea this morning, you said you are not crazy. And I don't doubt you, but you must admit you does say some crazy things on the radio. Look at this, Azad. The majority of people are convinced that the Minister of Agriculture is not doing a good job, and many are clamoring for his removal in a cabinet reshuffle. Mr. McMahon called and virtually agreed that the minister needs to be replaced because he's getting too much criticism. And it is not a good thing for the government. Instead of you, Hazard, capitalize on that, knowing he will be up against you in constituency 4, and you saying, let's be fair to the minister, for he did a good job as Minister of Culture during the carnival. Azad, man, you are a joker. But that was not for you to say, unless you're looking company. Keep the heat on the man until he is relieved of agriculture. I don't know how you fellas do be thinking. This minister and all others continually touting that for 7 years, PAM and PLP, when they were in government, have done nothing tangible. They never gave credit to Team Unity for anything. And you, Azad, come talking about being fair to him. Get serious, Azad, and know when to open your mouth. Read this email. At 9:43, I'll read this other email, which says, and I quote, I had a glance of the government minister's assets that was submitted to the commission, and seemingly the majority of them are millionaires. What is striking though, they say that Slow Student was the only millionaire before becoming a minister. Well, that is quite understandable, since he was the big man, the PEP program manager. Then it is true to say that the Slow Student should repent and return the PEP money to help feed the poor, the needy, and indigent in the Federation. I've seen this information being bandied about and peddled, but I want to believe that the declarations ought to be confidential, but I can't doubt that this emailer saw the information. As a matter of fact, there's the former Minister of Government who has these commentaries, and I pondered for a moment, because he talked himself about confidentiality, but yet he could tell us that the two parliamentarians that did not comply, one was in the Jew cabinet and one was in the opposition. So we wonder, where are we going with this confidentiality? Time almost out for the next election. Read this email. And no sign of the start of the new hospital and the new RLB airport mega terminal. Update us. Read this email. Well, the July said today, the only update I can perhaps give you, emailer, is this update from July who said this about the hospital or new hospital.
We are committed to making sure that we build schools and hospitals before we build a prison. That is why we are on the verge now of starting the hospital this year. We are going to start the Obadiah School. We have started work on the Basdale High School and the hospital, as I said before. So hospitals, schools, and housing before prison.
So does that mean the prison project is stalled for now?
No, we are, of course, the prison project was there. There was a contract signed, and we are evaluating it. But we are making sure that whatever comes of it, that we want it to comply with the laws that we have passed.
And that's what the Prime Minister reported in relation to the hospital emailer, and that's what we can provide in terms of information as it relates to the hospital. And remember that Dr. Jew, every time he talks about a smart hospital, is not about being technologically smart hospital or equipment smart hospital. I think his smart hospital is a hospital that can withstand the vagaries of the storms, the hurricanes that we frequent our neck of the woods. And his view about a smart hospital is after a Category 5 storm, it should be standing. When in fact, most people would expect that a smart hospital would be a hospital that is effective, that is efficient, and that would provide the service that is required by those who fortunately and or unfortunately have to be admitted to such an institution. And my Straight Talk family, it's now some 12 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour, and I think we were having some difficulty with the overseas line, but that's cleared up now. So those who are trying to access the overseas line, the number is 646-829-6672. It was rather quiet, and I just realized that it was not operational. But you can call that number now, those of you in the diaspora or elsewhere. Yes, I do apologize for that, and that overseas line is now operational. Caller, you're live.
Yes.
Hello, caller.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. You received my text because I realized the overseas line.
Oh, you said it?
But listen, what I have to say tonight either will break me or make me. And I have come to this conclusion that going back from since all these negative issues develop in St. Kitts as it relates to the current administration, I think people only getting a chance to talk, and their views, their suggestions are not taken into consideration. And humans should learn by example. And for what it is, as someone said, and I will say also, you got to get rid of all these ministers who has a portfolio and are not managing it wisely, to whom it may concern. So definitely, when people are fed up, that means it's time for a change. And time for a change means you're no longer needed. So I will suggest anyone in St. Kitts or Nevis who think they are capable of taking a chance to manage the needs of humans And I'm talking about in St. Kitts-Nevis, whether it's monetary situation, infrastructure situation, agricultural situation, jump in the ring for the next election and try to make the promises that you will fulfill rather than to make people fools. I am serious about my bid, as I made earlier. And Patches, let me just say this to you. You are a man of knowledge. You are a man of professor recognition. And I think you are the man to be the spokesman for St. Kitts-Nevis anytime, because there are no challenge. You are factual, you are truthful, and you are prudent in what you do. A man like you I will need. So I will yield to the 2 minutes, and I will see if I could come again. Thank
you very much, my dear brother. I'm humbled by your commendation. This message reads, Patches, would you be performing at Drew's wedding this time around? Reads this email. When I read this email, it brought me to laughter, because as I always tell people, I don't really know Dr. Drew, or rather I said the only thing I knew about Terrence Drew is that I sang to his wedding, and because he was trained in Cuba, and I anticipated that he would speak Spanish. I remember I sang that song, Que Sera, Sera, right? And I can see him just smiling. This guy is always smiling. I don't know him. So when he really attacked me, it took me by surprise, because I only saw him one other time after that wedding, his wedding. I don't even remember what was the year, because his son is very old now, so it had to be a long time ago. The only other time I got close to him was at a funeral. And if you ask me, I've just came close to Dr. Drew about 3 or 4 times. And the very first time and the only time I got real close to him was when I sang to his wedding. But to answer your question, emailer, no, I am not. I'm not qualified, no doubt, to sing to his second wedding. To answer that question, dear Patches, reads this email. Please do not. I just heard you read an email regarding Azad Gums. Said what Azad Gums, beg your pardon, said regarding Samuel Duggins. And he said what was just said is far from the truth, because he did not sing the praises of Samuel Duggins. He said what was said is that Samuel Duggins is not performing as a minister in the ministries he holds, but we are all saying that he did a good job with Carnival. Azad said what you read. Others said that what you read just was taken out of context, and the persons did not understand, reads that email. Well, thanks for that clarification, And that's what Straight Talk is all about, We have our own views. Some see things and some others will misinterpret what is heard. And that's nothing abnormal. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller?
Yeah, Patrice, Carl here again. Yeah, Patrice, yes, on these houses by this Trinidad company, you realize that NHC is claiming that these are NHC houses? You realize every time they talk about these houses, they say NHC houses? They are not NHC houses, because they told us last year, March, that they will be of no cost to the government. You remember those words?
Yes, yes.
and they name the company that is going to be doing these houses. And you remember I keep asking how much they are selling these lands to these companies, because the company may have the skill and may be able to purchase the materials. But how much per square foot are they selling these lands for to this company? Up to now, nobody will answer me, Patrick. How much land this company is getting to build these houses, and how much per square foot they are selling them at? The other question is, Patrick, they told us last year, March, that every year they're going to build 600 houses, which will come up to 2,400 houses. March is a few weeks away and only one semi-complete. The one at Connery. There is one started at Taylor's, right? Far from completion. And Dr. Joe come on the radio and boast and how it is so nice and everything, but he ain't told us how much contractors have already worked on that house and left that same one in Connery. Right? And those are not houses for the poor and the middle class, because before the one bedroom house cost $111,000. The two bedroom cost $243 around there $1,000. The three bedroom cost $297,000, and that is with all those numbers they purchase are without interest, and they're telling you must be bankable. Meaning, if you are bankable, you have to go to a bank. You go to a bank to borrow $111,000 for one bedroom. Patrick, tell me which bank around you're going to give you that. $111,000 flat. The interest is to go on that to buy a one bedroom house. Patrick, you think any bank around you gonna give you that money to purchase a one bedroom house and the interest ain't gone on yet? A two bedroom, $248,000 without interest. Three bedroom, $297,000 without interest. And they're saying you must be bankable. In these times, things are hard, not happening in the country.
Okay.
Who bank gonna lend you them kind of money now?
Okay.
Gone.
Got you very much. Thanks a lot. I was looking for that soundbite by the Prime Minister, because in fact they are building houses on your land. So government, as I know it, and is not providing any land. But I'll find that before the program is done. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
Yes.
Are you there, caller? Hello. Are you there, caller?
Yeah. Patches.
Yes, you're live, sir.
Yeah, you can hear me, right? I'm on?
Yes, the whole world is listening to you, my brother.
Okay. Yeah, man, I just wanted to keep it brief, man. Thank you for shedding the light tonight on the CBI program and, on the MSR situation. I just wanted to say thank you for that, because
my pleasure.
These are two areas that have been echoing recently, especially the corruption with that CBI program. It's quite evident to me the monies that has been raked into that CBI over the years should have Kitts-Nevis in tip-top shape. And it's a lot going on in the Federation, man. We just got to keep those guys' feet to the fire. But I like when it gets juicy too sometimes. There was a WhatsApp article that was circulating. I don't know if it's a leak from the recent declaration under the Integrity in Public Life bill. And, we want to get the real information. We want to get that factual information, man. We don't want to move on the rumors. We want to know if this article is true, because it's shedding light and it's alleging that all of these ministers is getting rich per se, So I want to just keep it factual, and I want to say allege at this point. And, we want to know is this information going to be put out? Is this public information? You know, we're talking about integrity in public life. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about integrity and transparency. So my question to you directly is, this bill that they pass, when these guys declare their assets, is the information going to be public knowledge?
No, it's confidential.
And
it's confidential.
I mean, why is it so confidential, man?
Wow.
I mean, come on. I mean, the more confidentiality they got, the less transparency that the public is going to have. You know, these guys, is there going to be an audit? Is there going to be audits done when these guys declare their assets? Is there going to be audits done to check this information? Or, you know, once they declare, a man have 10 million and he only declared 5 million. Is that it? Is that going to be the final say?
Well, I'll have to read the legislation again, but I think there's some room for one to make complaints to the commission, and then there's a process. But I'll have to read that again. But as far as I know, the information is confidential information. It happens
okay,
all over.
As far as yeah, okay, all right, okay. Let me get past that real quick because 2 minutes.
Yes, you're running out of time.
On the Nevis side, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's been some attempts to change that bill. There's been some parts that maybe might be taken out or omitted. You know, why do we have like two competing, integrity in public life bill? We want federation. Why don't we just have one bill from the federal level and that oversees the Nevis end? I don't know if you want to comment to that tonight or if you want to do a little bit more homework and come back with that. But for me, like, I've been concentrating on the corruption, especially through that CBI. So I wanted to say thanks to you for, I don't know what type of light you put on these two things tonight, MSR and the CBI. Was it a cigarette lighter, a cell phone? Was it a lantern, a lamp? Or was it a flashlight? Or this light? This was like one of them floodlights in Warner Park. Was it one of them flashlights?
Enough light so far, my brother. Thanks.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, man. Have a good night, man.
Have a good night as well. Always look forward to your contributions. As we wind down, I'll take a few more calls. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live.
Yeah, Patrice.
So.
Yeah, we hear on the news tonight that rocks been falling over Southeast Peninsula on the road, and they're asking drivers to be careful. So I'm going to say this. God is the one who keeping you so healthy and strong and conscious to let the whole world know what is going on in St. Kitts. Now look at what would have happened across Old Road Bay if it wasn't for you and your idea to build the road over there. Suppose you had leave it on the old road. What would have happened to people today? And I would like Dr. Drew to go down there tonight, park up in the car, and check his view down Old Road Bay, and then he gonna see what happened to him in the car. Let it go down, since he believe he could criticize. Good night, Patrice. You have a good night.
Good night.
When I got time, I'll talk more.
Okay, my brother. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. I thought you would say he should drive on the old road, and not drive on the new road and see if he understands the danger. I remember when I advanced that project, or when the Public Works Department should have advanced the project. I remember in that estimates committee meeting, when I asked about the Old Road Bay project, which was omitted initially, the public officer in sustainable development said to me that Old Road Bay was not a priority. And she said that with a measure of pride. It took me by surprise that I could have only hung my head for a moment and tried to compose myself in terms of finding a response for this public official. And I remember very well, I came back up, raised my head again, and I asked, beg your pardon? And she said, Old Road Bay is not a priority. And I must admit, it ticked me off, and I had to ask a question in a very assertive way. How many more people must die across Old Road Bay before it became a priority? Because I remember a young man from my constituency, I'll never forget it, who died across Old Road Bay, my straight dog family, from Rockfall one afternoon. And I in a nutshell, having made my presentation, which is not normal for ministers, because after the technical committees or technical officers have made their presentation, then we determine how the budget is sliced amongst ministries. But I must confess that we got the road, and when you hear all that rainfall, even now you wonder what would have happened to Old Road Bay if we did not build resilience across that stretch of road. But that's now history. I thank this caller for holding. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Patches. This is
yes, sir.
Good night.
Yes.
This is my last thought. In respect to the declaration of the declaration, in respect to the declaration that each government officials, as the list goes on, should declare. Yes, there is a circulation of a list with 8 names. And it started from Denzel Douglas down to Dr. Drew, actually the present cabinet. But only 8 names and declaring that wealth. What happened to Mark Brantley Nevis? What happened to Timothy Harris? We ain't see a list of that. Is that a legitimate publication? And also, if those wealth by those who listed are true, I mean, did they had wealth before they take office to have? Because the lease that I've seen is 700 and something thousand. Let me round it to $800,000. Everyone else have millions. How do they get rich so quick? Do they have any investment? Do they have any business? Were they living abroad to have all those? Even if they combine all their assets, how could all these ministers get so rich and think it's the average people in St. Kitts can't buy a can of sardine? Okay?
Caller, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. How did you establish that what you read is accurate or true?
I only ask. I'm asking.
Oh, I thought you were saying. Okay. You're asking the question.
No, I'm not accusing. I'm only responding to an allege. And I hope it's not fake that being published on these people neither. But if they are true, would the DPP do an audit? Because it's not just like declare your wealth. How did you come by your wealth? To say if you are in St. Kitts, how many people are millionaires in St. Kitts? How many people make their wealth from St. Kitts to be millionaires? Unless they have some kind of additional support. And if so, while in government to be so millionaires, there's somewhere along the way there could be some corruption and conflict of interest. Because the graph is too high. Okay? As it said, people who were on the pop getting the $500. And they don't even see nothing from it at the end of the day. How could these ministers can't be empathetic to bring forth some kind of program to offset these people? Give some CBI money to the people. The money belongs, the wealth belongs to the federation.
Okay, caller.
So why some people got to? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I know my commitment.
Thank you very much for your intervention. And as I said, it's. Straight Talk cannot confirm that what was being circulated in that WhatsApp or whatever message it was, we cannot confirm confirm the veracity, the truth of its content. And I haven't really, I didn't really want to digress, but I haven't, and I will provide that information in our next program in terms of the confidentiality issues as it relates to the integrity in public life situations. I got a message from Azar Gums, and in fairness to him, I think I should read his message that he sent to me, that reads, and I quote, "Good evening, Patches. Heard that a message was read saying that I was singing the praises of Minister Duggins. That was misinterpreted. I clearly indicated that the said minister has dropped the ball yet again, and that there seems to be a pattern whereby there is a lack of planning on the part of the minister. The minister dropped the ball with the World Cup and has dropped the ball yet again with the inter-school championships by not ensuring that the facilities are up to scratch to facilitate sports as per usual." And that should be World Cup cricket, he added. And this message is from Azar Gums, and in the spirit of equity and fairness, I think it was only fair to share his take, his position in terms of what he actually said on his program. Patches, I heard SKN would have been the host for the next World Cup cricket matches, but our facilities nowhere in good shape to host. So that means St. Kitts-Nevis won't have no games. All the sporting venues need a lot of help to have a facelift. Our little island is far behind on sports. For all these months, Samal ain't drop a stroke on nothing. He needs to be fired, because if he is not doing, if he's doing nothing for sports, that should be, how can he do for another portfolio? Reads this email. And my Straight Talk family, that's the way we're going to end it for our calls and our emails. And for those who may have joined me late, tonight we looked at the thesis which I titled St. Kitts-Nevis CBI, the good, the bad, and the convicted. And my Straight Talk family, we reflected on the contribution of our forefathers, and in particular, our founding fathers, I should say, Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, Caleb Azariah Paul Southwell, Joseph Nathaniel France, Simeon Daniel Limore, and Ronald Webster to some extent. And we find that they all fought long and hard to earn political independence, also national self-determination for their respective islands of then St. Kitts-Nevis and Anguilla, and eventually for St. Kitts-Nevis, the status of citizenship for all their people. We referred to quotes from Thomas Humphrey Marshall, an English sociologist, best known for his essay, Citizenship and social class, in which he introduced the idea that full citizenship includes civil, political, and social citizenship. We also opine that not all citizenships are equal. However, as different passports grant diverse benefits, ranging from freedom from discrimination to ease of international travel. We spoke to the widespread inequalities of access to the most coveted countries of the world. We referred to the Schengen area in Europe, which allows us to, once we have access, to move to a cross-border of 26 European countries. That was my point of departure tonight. That brought me to what I call the passport trade, and what is referred to in our citizenship by investment program. And my Straight Talk family, we gave you the empirical data from the change or the evolution of our program, which started way back in 1984, the oldest or longest established program. We spoke to the meeting held in Dominica just over a week ago, to be exact. And when interviewed just yesterday, Dr. Drew, as I said earlier, seemed to have exhibited some cognitive challenges, as they refer to in the case of Joe Biden. And Dr. Drew, sometimes you ponder, sometimes one ponders as to his communication ability. He just don't seem to get it right, my Straight Talk family, or he's just a compulsive fabricator, a liar, my Straight Talk family. But then we looked at his comments when I asked a simple, straightforward question. When I asked about the meeting and what transpired at the meeting, Dr. Drew had this to say.
I wouldn't speak to it. I think there was a meeting and I respect the time when a report will be put together. But this is what I will say in general, that the changes that we have made to strengthen the program, those are being welcomed. And we encourage other Caribbean countries to also consider, along with their changes, theirs, and we will look at theirs to see what we can also adopt.
But he must have seen the changes that were made, if any. As a matter of fact, there were no changes in St. Lucia. And one wonders and ponders why was the haste for Dr. Drew to literally double the cost of our program. CBI programs allow the high net worth individuals to skip the arduous naturalization process to gain citizenship via an investment transaction. And these programs grant citizenship in exchange for a significant monetary contribution to the country. But he lied again about the prison project, my Straight Talk family. And that, to me, again, was troubling. Because Dr. Drew had this to say when asked about the prison project.
We understand with the CBI program, you just can't switch to anything else.
But that was what he said 3 months after assuming his current role in the administration. But as they say, liars have no memory. Because Dr. Drew has signed thousands of certificates of registration July is acting like Joe Biden, as I said, because July had this to say.
We are committed to making sure that we build schools and hospitals before we build a prison. That is why we are on the verge now of starting the hospital this year. We are going to start the Obadiah School. We have started work on the Basdale High School and the hospital, as I said before. So hospitals, schools, and housing before prison.
So does that mean the prison project is stalled for now?
No, we are, of course, the prison project was there. There was a contract signed, and we are evaluating it. But we are making sure that whatever comes of it, that we want it to comply with the laws that we have passed.
Confused, isn't he? Caller, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. And I really mean this, 10 seconds. Are you there?
Yes, yeah, I'm here, man. Let me just close it off with this 10 seconds. But let me just
10 seconds.
Trying to summarize what that caller is trying to say. Basically, I'm trying to follow up on my colleague there, and he's attempting to shed the light on the politicians who is alleged to be gaining this wealth so rapidly. We need some transparency on that. It's alleged right now. We need that transparency.
Okay.
We need that transparency, and the gap just seems to be widening between the haves and the have-nots, and that's what he's trying to summarize there. So you have a good weekend, Mr. Patches. Thanks.
Have a good weekend as well. I think I fully understand what you were trying to say, but I am also saying that based on the legislation, and I'll read the section of the legislation on my next episode, God's willing, because as far as I have read, I can recall, and stand to be corrected, that all the declarations made to the IPL Commission are confidential information. But as we wrap, my Straight Talk family, as I was saying, it is the convicted criminal that bothers most of us. Philip Martinez, who was not welcome in Barbados because he could not even pass that country's smell test, wanted to be put up or accommodated at the hotel, not Westmoreland, I'm trying to remember the hotel, but at $2,000. And Mayor Motley said to him in some nice words, go fly a kite, criminal. But Nevis seemed to be the place or the little island where bandits go. And after all, there's a snake called Mark Anthony Brantley, who's the premier. He's a Ministry of Finance. But we are not on Nevis. We are on the Federation of St. Kitts-Nevis. And like in the Schengen region, once you enter Nevis, you just take a ferry or sea taxi and come to St. Kitts. So what is troubling, as I wrap tonight, my Straight Talk family, is the right-thinking persons in St. Kitts-Nevis are pondering why a convicted criminal is approved to head the only public benefit option of our CBI. Many ask if it was a Kittian or a Vision who went to jail, it would have been okay? Or is it because he's a white European from France? The address of the MSR hotels is listed as the law firm owned by the snake, my Straight Talk family. It is clear. Here is the address of MSR hotels. And that's in April 2022, as filed with the FRC. But the registered or the certificate of registry is dated November 2022 under the Jew administration. But my Straight Talk family, when we examine the workings of our CBI program after 40 years, we must reflect on the good, the bad, and the convicted. My straight talk family, the investments in the programs that offer hand-up petitions and divisions in poverty are consistently small. You remember he gave us some dividends, some monkey money, $500. That's all he gave us. But they can give Christopher Harbour $43 million. That's what's for them. Christopher Harbour got 2,500 acres of land for peanuts, 13 miles of shoreline, beg your pardon, and 6 of our best beaches.
Christopher Harbor is 2,500 acres of land. We've got 13 miles of shoreline with the property, 6 beaches, of which I would argue that at least 3 of the 6 beaches are in the top 10 beaches in the Caribbean, which I think says a lot about the natural beauty.
Yes, but having sold all those lands at thousands of dollars per acre and having repatriated millions of dollars overseas, who would believe that a select board of directors would agree to swap land for debt? Christopher Harbour owed on electricity. As some caller put it, National Bank swapped land with the government for debt. 1,200 acres. But having sold all those lands at thousands of dollars per acre and repatriated millions of dollars overseas, who would believe that Christopher Harbour has still not paid the government and the St. Kitts-Nevis Anguilla National Bank an accumulated debt of $130 million, and which they are still negotiating with the bank and the government debt forgiveness? My straight talk family, the good thing we can report though is that the CBI receipts helped us to navigate COVID. We started with a stimulus package. And this was a blessing in disguise. And we may ask, how else could we have survived? But in came heartless July to office. Only concern it still seems about traveling the world and filling their long pockets with money or a per diem from our treasury. As leader, he moved from his home in his constituency of St. Peter's to a gated community at Beacon Heights at the cost of the taxpayers. One senator moved from a home in St. Paul's into Silver Reef condominiums on Frigate Bay. The slow student found Pond's extension not good enough for him and moved to Frigate Bay as well. Look at what was done to thousands of poor people on PAP. This young, inexperienced senator from Monkey Hill, and under the guise of an IMF recommendation and to minimize spending on the poverty-related social assistance program like PAP, the Jew Labour Administration continues to let thousands of poor people go hungry. These are the brutal steps that the Jew Labour Administration has fully embraced. We had what I call an academic invasion by a young, green, and reckless senator who was purportedly raised in the Anglican Church, but yet so heartless. And to add insult to injury, she yielded to the advice from an institution that was born out of the Second World War. The IMF is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And when the bombing ceases in Ukraine, when Israel stops flattening the buildings in the Gaza, the IMF will move into those areas to reconstruct and develop those cities that were bombed to the ground. We therefore ought to be saddened by this advice that was embraced by Drew and his inexperienced members of cabinet. Why would we want the IMF to reconstruct our poverty alleviation program that has rescued so many families in St. Kitts-Nevis using an IMF prescription? My straight dog family, In conclusion, what we can say tonight is that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are endowed by the Creator. What we can say tonight, my Straight Talk family, is that in our own constitution, just like in other constitutions, ultimate political power now resides in people, not kings. And more importantly, the people possess political power because it was now recognized as having been given to them directly from God Almighty. In our own constitution, the Constitution of St. Christopher and Nevis, read the preamble, the explicit statement, whereas the people of St. Christopher and Nevis, amongst other things, declare that the nation is established on the belief in Almighty God and the inherent dignity of each individual. My Straight Dog family, we have highlighted the good, we have highlighted the bad, but the most important and troublesome of them all is the convicted. And that's troubling. Why Philippe Martinez was not disqualified given his criminal record? Is it in the public interest to have a convicted criminal trading in our passports? Was Philippe Martinez ever convicted of a criminal offense and sentenced to prison for 4 or 5 years, Dr. Joe? These and other questions raised are pertinent ones that must be addressed as they speak to the very survival of over 55% of the non-tax revenue to be collected, along with all who participate in the St. Kitts-Nevis CBI program, the good, the bad, and the convicted. That's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I'm not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God, however, for guiding our conversation tonight, and as always, I want to thank you, the many listeners, thousands of you who listen. I thank you. Those who called, my Straight Talk family, and those who sent emails, be assured that you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Libert, and God's Spear. We will connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. Till that time, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Be good to all whom you meet. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light and thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Dog family, keep moving on. Bye-bye until we connect on Monday.